Welcome back to Story Mode. Sometimes video games would have such an influence on me, they would force me into a new hobby. And in 2003, cars and video games were my life. Welcome to 2003. Yes, in 2003, Benny Benassi gives us Satisfaction. What a film clip. Surprisingly, there was some really good music. Good Charlotte, Blink-182 and Red Hot Chili Peppers. My top three favourites are John Mayer, Bigger Than My Body.
Yes, I'm grounded, got my wings clipped, waiting to be tamed, singing you.
Clocks by the incredible Coldplay. And my next two is really a draw. Christina Aguilera, Beautiful.
We are beautiful.
What a Voice. And Hey Ya by Outkast. It's 2003 and I've been working so hard and so much, sometimes 60 hours a week. Well, I had a lot of money coming in, so what was I going to do with it? I was going to get my second favourite car of all time, the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. That's right, it will make two GTRs. At this point I was thinking of selling my R33 GTR, but I didn't really want to because keep in mind, I sold my video game collection in order to buy that car. And then just to sell it again for money, it just wouldn't be worth it. I wouldn't see a symbol there. So I decided to keep it at my grandparents' house in the meantime and concentrate on getting its younger brother, the R34 GTR. I started looking around for one and had it in my mind to order a yellow one, lightning yellow to be exact. EV1 is the paint code. That's the exact same colour as Mandy's Sylvia. We'd have matching cars. I went everywhere for this car. I looked at import places. I even looked on the internet back then in Japan, and there was nothing under $90,000. I only had $37,000 saved up at this point, and believe me, that took a lot of dedication and hard work to get there. So I was way off. Maybe I'm just going to have to settle for an R34 GTT. A GTT's a younger brother to the GTR. Single turbo instead of twin turbo, rear wheel drive instead of four wheel drive, and it's a lot thinner. The GTR is all big and bulky and puffy and aggressive looking. Really, they're very different cars. So I had an idea. What if I could buy an R34 GTT and then somehow make it into a GTR? Would it be cheaper to do this? And I started doing research. Now look, there was a lot of work to do, and probably the biggest part was to change the rear guard. See, they're welded onto the car, and that would take a lot of dedication to remove those guards and put GTR ones on. So that was probably the biggest thing. The next thing is obviously the engine, the gearbox, the running gear, but the chassis were pretty much identical. So at least I had a base on, and if I didn't do the conversion, who cares? I still have a GTT. So within a week, I found a Nissan Skyline R34 GTT in Adelaide. It was yellow, the exact color I wanted, and unfortunately Mandy couldn't trek across to Adelaide with me, so I took my mother. We took the train because I hate flying. The car looked brand new. It was incredible. It cost me $35,000. I was beside myself. Driving back was pretty surreal. I had a lot of attention towards the car, obviously not towards me, towards the car, people like waving and taking pictures of the car. Keep in mind the car wasn't in Australia at the time. There was only a few examples floating around, and Nissan never released the car here officially, and importers were still kind of finding their feet to bring them over. So this was quite rare at the time. For some reason, I didn't take many photos of my car, but as you can see here, there's the car there. That's my sister smoking, and there's John, another one, smoking. When will they learn? After a month or so, work started to become normal. I actually had a whole day off. It was Monday, I'll never forget it. And that's the day I started to work on the car. I remember pulling off the bonnet and front guards because they are completely different to the GTR's bumper, bonnet and front guards. I did a lot of the work at home in my garage. My friend John had come over, the same guy I played Gran Turismo 3 with, and he would give me a hand helping me pull apart the car or modify it, getting it ready for the GTR parts, and then eventually taking it to my friend's spray shop and spraying it. There's a lot more to it than that. And then sometimes we get a few interruptions, like this dog Molly, who is a dog from down the road, would come almost every time I'm working on that car and interrupt us.
This is Molly, and Molly wandered up to our driveway. True?
Down the driveway.
Down the driveway. Come on, Molly. Molly. Please. Molly. Molly.
I know this footage is really bad, but you can probably make out, or just make out, the number plates on that car. It's my Capcom number plates on that R34 GTT. I miss that car already, just looking at it. And before it rained, I polished up John's car.
The camera picks this up. It's beading beads.
Hey!
My cousin Steve worked at Nissan and that helped out a lot. I was getting some of the parts for half price. And I could see doing this project was not too bad. Yes, it's not a real GTR, but it's going to be one when I'm finished with it. I'm not trying to make it sound easy because believe me, it wasn't. As you can see here, I had to grind away and cut away the sealant around the rear guard before I took it off. That was a big effort to do that and I felt bad doing it, but it had to be done. Once I had the rear quarter panel off, I had to then cut away at that inner lining, and then I had to have another piece that brought the guard out so water wouldn't get under the guard. There is the guard actually on, it's just sitting on for the time being before it gets welded in, and that was an exciting time. Apart from the rear guards and a few other things, most of the parts were second-hand from Japan, and you couldn't believe how cheap things were at the time. The bumper bar, the guards, the interior. I also ordered an aftermarket computer and intercooler to make the GTT's motor as fast as the GTR. The motor and gearbox is something I'd have to do later down the track because they were quite expensive at the time. After 5 months, the car was completely finished, sprayed by me at my friend's spray shop. I did get a bit of a hand with some things that had to be lined up with the machine, but then later on, once I finished the car, I ended up upgrading it. Injectors, different computer, and at the end of it, it was pumping out 450 kilowatts at the wheels. Now that I did the project, do I regret it? Absolutely no way. The car worked out to be probably a little bit over half the price of a real GTR. And even though it wasn't a real GTR, according to the VIN, it still was a GTR to me. It went like a GTR, it looked like a GTR, it felt like a GTR. And secondly, it taught me a lot about cars. How to take off rear guards, how to unpick guards, how to spray, anti-corrosion, how to spot weld. It taught me a lot. I felt like I could achieve anything, and you never know, one day, just maybe one day, I could achieve the dream of owning my favorite car, the Honda NSX.